So again, this is called the sovereignty gap. Why spiritually aware women undercharge and how to close it. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, hello. And people who are in the Zoom, hello. Naming your price. So the first thing I want to ask is, how does it feel in your body when you say your price? And I want you to comment in the chat how it feels. Comment if it feels like you feel some tension, if you feel some tightness. Comment if it feels you get nervous, your hands start shaking. Like, be honest, okay? Don't be afraid to comment. So what is happening is undercharging is not neutral, it is compromising. That is what happens when you undercharge. It is compromising your nervous system. It is compromising the order that you're structured to function from. It compromises you psychologically, not only in business, but in life, because when you are not valuing your worth, it leaks into other aspects of how you choose to live this life. That's how deep this goes. Okay. And you cannot strategize your way past a worth wound. So anytime when you are functioning from a place of the wound, know that that's what your aura is exuding. And we hear a lot of this in the quote unquote spiritual community. Again, pet peeve, pet peeve. You hear a lot of this softening, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but softening your worth so you can appease others. And it's part of psychological bondage. Just because we're spiritual doesn't put us in a position of softening our worth. Where did that come from? And it doesn't come from a spiritual standpoint. It's not mayat, it's not shamanic, it is trauma. And so a lot of people are utilizing these spiritual methodologies, not understanding what it really means to live from them. And nobody is challenging that. And this is what you see. It is a play. It sets the tone as to healers curating spaces, because they see somebody else who's charging, I don't know, $100 when they need to be charging $800. So I just want to make that very clear. It is not spiritual at all. It is coming from trauma. It is coming from being conditioned in a system that took advantage of our sovereignty. And instead of us coming back to order, they have systemized us in their order. And when you awaken into your state of knowingness of your spirit and your soul, that doesn't mean you're done. That doesn't mean the work is done. You are just beginning. And what people bypass is the order and the structure that it takes to really be a sovereign. And when I talk about sovereignty, it doesn't matter what religion you come from, your spiritual background doesn't matter, because if you look at God, Allah, it all connects to understanding that we are connected to divine consciousness. And divine consciousness is what? Sovereign. Okay, so we are reflections of that. And thank you all for sharing. The body feels open, but the mind says, is that a good number? Yes. So it starts questioning. I feel tight in my stomach, especially when I know it's too low or disrespectful, because you say, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's not a good feeling. And that feeling compounds over time. So the reason why no one told you is because, again, this keeps us not really being in ownership of self. It keeps us in blaming others for our life and our choices. It's their fault. It's society's fault. It's the system's fault. So it keeps you in victim. And the ripple effect of that is you can only take people as far as you go. So this is where I see a lot of coddling with the work. And some of y'all are shaking your heads like, yeah, but coddling with the work, right? It's like, this work is real. Some of us, we know this work is real. But what we do is that we coddle the trauma. We call it trauma informed. And mind you, if you're just getting to know me, I was trained as a clinical trained therapist, 2 master's degrees. Okay, went through trauma informed training, EMDR certified. Okay, so I come from that world. So I know exactly the conditioning of what that is. I know how the language appeals to people who are still functioning from a wounded place. And guess what? They want to stay there. So this is where the psychology ceiling hits. But spirit knows that it's much more expansive than that. You're much more expansive than that wall. And this is where true spiritual work takes you. And what we did in the Western world has adopted those type of systems that, again, has a limit, and bring it right into the spiritual world. And this is what creates confusion, and this is what creates inner conflict. Because there is a part of you that knows you deserve more. You have powerful gifts for people. Okay? So type in the comments if you agree. Type in the comments if you say, yes, this is landing. Good. Okay, good, good. So let's talk about your narratives create your reality, how your beliefs shape your pricing, your positioning, your results. So on the left-hand side, you see the scarcity narrative playing a huge part. And this is how energetically we look. Okay. So our thought patterns show there's not enough. Okay. People can't afford me. Charging more is greedy. And let me know in the comments if you have had these thoughts. I call them thought forms. But let me know if you in the comments you had these thoughts. I know I had these thoughts before. I'm gonna be honest. I had these thoughts before. Okay. I am not enough. Money is spiritual. Money is spiritual. I should be grateful for what I have. Okay. So how does it feel? You feel tightness in the chest, shallow breath, small posture. You're not standing in that position of holding yourself strong along your spine. And your energy feels heavy. And there's some anxiety and shame. And then how you show up, you avoid visibility. You over deliver, undercharge, and then you seek people's approval. And that is the narrative that not only plays out in your business, but also plays out in your life decisions. So this is all psychological. This impacts every aspect of how you move in this life. Okay? So then you have the center, the transitional conflicted narrative. And this is where I see a lot of the women who want to work with me or desire to work with me. They're like, okay, I get that I don't want to be in the scarcity narrative, but now I'm conflicted, right? Because now you have to make a decision to hold yourself in that value, no matter what people say, no matter what people think. Now you're stepping into leadership. You're stepping into that authoritative presence. So here's what I see, or here, I want more, but I deserve this, but I want to help and get paid. I should be humble, but what if people judge me? Let me know in the chats if y'all have had these thoughts too. Okay. And then how it feels, inner tension, mental fatigue. I mean, that's exhausting. Being in conflict with oneself is exhausting. Okay. Confusion, because you're confusing yourself because you're not making a decision to stand firm in self. Guilt or doubt, and then you're inconsistent because you're too busy in your head, not being able to make a decision, not believing that you are worthy. Okay. Then how it shows up: inconsistent pricing, mixed messaging. And I see this all the time when I work with women who are in my containers and we're doing mentorship. I go on their pages and I look at their pages. I'm looking at what the content is about, and it's not consistent because you're in conflict. Your inner architecture is in conflict. So that is how you present. And people may not be able to articulate it that way, but this is why people don't buy. Because they don't know what they're buying, because you don't even know who you are. Or I would say like this: you may know who you are, but you're not standing in the position of who you are. So people feel that. Over explaining and people pleasing. So the outcome is, again, inconsistent pricing, people pleasing, boundary confusions, because you're going in and out. Now, let's get into the sovereign narrative. And this is all about clarity, worth, abundance. I know my worth. Charging premium pricing is integrity. Building wealth is aligned with my purpose. And let me know, as I'm saying this, how does this feel in your body when I'm saying these thought forms? I attract people for transformation. My value is not negotiable. Ooh, I love that one. Love that one. And do you see, or do you feel, if you're energetically sensitive, Can you feel the frequency behind the thoughts as I'm talking about them? Like you felt the chaos and the scarcity. You felt the conflict. Now the sovereign is just butter. It's clean. It's precise. So how it feels, you have an open heart because you're functioning from abundance. You have no constrictions. Deep breath. You take nice deep breaths to rejuvenate you. Expanded posture. You walk with your head up high, your shoulders back, chest open. Clarity. You have so much clarity and confidence about how you express. And the calm is priceless because you're done negotiating. So the outcome of that is confident pricing, consistent enrollment, clear messaging. And guess what happens after that? Your clientele will change dramatically. Now you're going to attract people who are ready, people who actually see you. Because finally, you surrender to yourself. And it's not going to take a whole bunch of convincing and persuasion. They're going to already know that, yeah, I want to work with her. Yeah, I want to work with him. Like I just bought something before I got on the call from some guy that just popped up on my algorithm. And I said, I like it. I like his demeanor. I like his position. I like his confidence. And I need that. I didn't need to go to his Instagram page. I didn't need to do research. I didn't need to go ask everybody's permission. I have never done that. I said, I need that. He has the solution. Click. It's so simple when you're functioning from a place of sovereignty inside yourself. You stop wasting time. All right. And so let's go into the nervous system. So I have a elemental, it's called the revenue nervous system audit, and it's tied into the elemental infrastructure of how we are made. And what you realize when you start studying the nervous system, and you also have frameworks that are connected to ancient ways. And so my framework is connected to Cometicism. That is my foundation. That is my baseline. And then there's the shamanic methodology as well. But your nervous system creates your revenue reality. So your state is your strategy. And what I see in a lot of founders and leaders is that y'all chasing a whole bunch of strategy, but yet your foundation can't even hold it. So what happens? And let me know if you can relate. You purchase something, they give you instructions. They'll tell you, work on this for 90 days. Do this for 90 days, and this is the result. Do you actually work on it for 90 days, or do you work on it for 2 days and then say, oh, this is not working? Be honest. I have done it. And it's because your nervous system is so hijacked for instant gratification, instant relief. It is literally causing you to self-sabotage a solution that you asked for. Like you asked for it. So it's like, here it is. Here you go. And this is where you see the difference between a wealthy mindset and a broke mindset. A broke mindset who is functioning from the scarcity pattern and the conflict. Psychologically, they self-sabotage. Even though they're seeking solution, they self-sabotage that. And I stated earlier as to the why. It's because we've been conditioned to be in bondage of our reality. And so it's a loop that continues to play in your nervous system. And it's also deeply ancestral as well. Whereas wealthy mindset wants to learn, wants to apply the skill, because when you're functioning from a wealthy mindset, it's not even about making a lot of money. That is the output, that is the result, but it's more so the person you are becoming in that process. It is powerful. And you realize, wow, I really function from another level, a level that you couldn't even imagine you can do. Is it hard work? Yes. Yes. So if you ain't interested in hard work, then you're not interested in being wealthy. It's as simple as that. If you want to sit there and have a soft life, this is not for you. Okay. I'm just keeping it 1,000. This is not soft life. This is a life that you own that can create a soft life for you over time. But in the beginning, when you really are breaking free from the bondage, it's not soft. Just think about that. It's bondage. You trying to break chains that have been conditioned in your DNA with some love and light language, ain't gonna do it. You got to tap into the warrior. Okay. So you have the dorsal vagal, and this is where you shut down and you freeze. And this is where survival mode kicks in. You feel disconnected, and all you want to do is protect. Everything on the outside feels overwhelming. So that creates shallow breathing, disassociation, low energy. And so revenue pattern is scarcity loop, stagnant income, no new clients, avoidance of selling, delayed follow-up, invisible positioning, which I am going to go over the psychological factors of selling, especially when we get into the 10K build challenge, which I'll talk about at the end. But guess what? If you have a business, you got to sell. And you could call it, oh, this is ceremonial offering. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And guess what? There's a price on that too, right? So you got to sell. And a lot of people don't like to sell. And my theory is because you don't like buying. That's my theory. You don't like buying. A lot of people don't like to be sold to because they don't like buying. And that's also part of staying in that bondage of restricting yourself from the things that you desire based upon not wanting someone to just persuade you, because that's all real selling is just persuasion. Persuasion of you already knowing that you want it. That's all that is. But There is some bad salespeople out there. I get it. So, but yet you're an entrepreneur and you're going to take that mentality and apply it to your business. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to stay stuck. And that is part of the loop. Then you have the sympathetic: fight, flight, mobilize. Okay, so this is another form of survival mode, control, and overfunction. Physical markers: rapid breathing, muscle tension. And let me know in the comments if you can relate to these symptoms. Let me know in the comments which nervous system function are you experiencing most of the time, because it could fluctuate. And particularly when it comes to you being an entrepreneur and putting yourself out there and generating the income that you desire. All right. Put it in the comments. Racing thoughts, hypervigilance, adrenal fatigue. Now, this one right here, the sympathetic: overthinking, okay, and ventral, but the money hasn't arrived yet. Sympathetic and ventral vagal for me, okay. So this one right here, oops, this one creates a lot of tension in relation to, let me just fix this real quick. I don't know how I got here. Okay, can everybody see that? We're back. In relation to chaos, and we're going to talk about the entity and the energy of chaos, because you know enough, right? So I'm sure you have a lot of people that I attract, they have done some deep work. So they have been on some healing journeys. All right. Then as an entrepreneur, you have signed up for masterminds. I mean, you went to the best of the best. Okay. You have traveled different places to develop oneself, to develop yourself. So that spiritual walk, no matter business, because again, it's the same, it's not separate, is a part of your expansion, your development. But what happens when you're in a sympathetic state, you resist it, or you just run away from it. Okay. Then there's the ventral vagal. So this is the grounded, connected, safe space. This is where the revenue pattern comes into abundance. So you have the deep breath. Your energy is steady. You have a relaxed presence about yourself, clear mind, embodied awareness, and sustained energy. And this is where you begin to get a lot of things done. You get more done in this state than any other state. And it's because you're no longer functioning from a limit. You're not functioning from lack. You're functioning from, again, the sovereign place, the one that knows. And there's a knowingness. There is, if you want to call it the higher self, there's a knowingness that kicks in. And it's like, this is what you need. So do it. It's real simple. The instructions are so simple. And you see how it compounds over time. And you're like, oh, I'm staying here. staying right here. And people just going to have to catch up. All right. And this is where you see your income growing because you have positioned yourself in your expertise and your wisdom and your gifts. And you're no longer in bargaining. And again, the caliber of people will change because you have changed. You have put yourself in the center of your universe. You became what people might say the main character of your life. Let me know if this information is landing for you all in the comments. Marie's like, yeah, it's there. And we will have time for questions, okay? So what I would like for you all to do now is say your price out loud. So think of an offer. Think of something you want to offer the world. It could be a course, it could be a class, it could be whatever, ceremony. And say the price. And if you already have a price, on your website, I'm sure it's lower. So say the price that you desire. Say it in this moment and then type in the chat how that feels for you. Because that is information. Okay. It feels excited, scary. It feels liberating. Yes. Free. Yes. Son, I feel like that directness. It feels like it just hits. Feels great. It's amazing how we immediately know the figure, right? Exactly. Isn't it? It's so amazing. I love it. Beautiful. Good. Good. And again, that should be your price. That's it. Simple. You don't need to go research what everybody else is doing. That's your price. Why does it feel normal? Because it is normal. It is. This is your normal state. This is the real. And that's what you realize, like, oh man, I've been playing around. All right, good. And like I shared earlier, I softened at my price too. And I tell this story all the time to my clients. When I started the ecology of shamanism, I I don't remember, but it definitely was between $2,000, $3,000 for a whole year with me. Weekly classes, 2 to 3 hour classes a week. Then they will come here to the beautiful Dominican Republic and get initiated into the medicines. $2,000 to $3,000. My ancestors were screaming at me. And I had to really come into that realization. And this is also getting into stewardship. So understanding, when you understand you are a steward, you have assets. You have assets that you got to take care of that need to be resourced. I have a retreat center. I have land. I bought land. Those things need to be resourced. And I was under resourcing myself. And so you see how it's a ripple effect when you soften your worth, because that's what it is. The price is connected to your worth and your value. When you start really seeing it like that, you stop playing games. Because do you do that in your intimate relationships? If you do, we may need to talk about that later. Okay. So it's the same setup. All right. Give me 1 second. So, what happens when you start to name your price, position yourself in that power? You start to, of course, generate more income, but you also start to open up better opportunities, more opportunities that align to your authoritative presence, to your leadership presence. Because a wealthy mindset is not interested in investing into scarcity. Does that make sense? Why? Why would they do that? It doesn't matter how beautiful and how elaborate the offer is. A person who sits in their wealth can smell that from 1,000 miles away, and they have worked too damn hard to go back on that floor. It's like, nah, mm-mm, mm-mm. Okay. So there is a different way. And I'm going to give you the science. There is a different way, and it is ancient. And again, at the beginning, I stated it's based upon Kemetic cosmology. And if you don't know the word Kemet, it's tied to Egypt. So Egypt is more of the modern name, but Kemet is the original name. I take people there every single year. And as I'm taking people through their process, I'm studying what's coming in for me. And I've been doing it for the last 3 years, and it's been amazing. So this cosmology is packed with real measurements that ties you into your abundance. I mean, look at Egypt, okay? Egypt is still standing. Kemet is still Kemet for a reason. The technology is still very much alive inside of us. So you have if you look in the middle, you have the three forces of sovereignty. So you have Sia, and anybody who studies Kemeticism, I'm sure can relate to these terms. But you have Sia, you have the accurate perception, seeing clearly without distortion, truth over comfort. You have Hue, which is the authoritative utterance, speaking truth with clarity, boundaries, and conviction. Then you have Mat or Mayat, alignment, reciprocity, living in integrity with natural law. Energetic alignment creates mutual exchange. And this is what our ancestors practiced all the time. Anything that did not align to the Mayat order inside of you turns into what is called isfit, which means chaos, disorder. So anytime when you negotiate your worth, your value, your position, your belief, you are allowing that energy to impact your decisions and everything that you do. And you could take this and apply it to any other religion, spirituality. It all is the same. It's just explained differently because every spiritual methodology has a framework that they work from. Every spiritual framework, every spiritual methodology has a framework. Spiritual gurus have frameworks. Sadhguru has a framework. Muji has a framework. Deepak Chopra has a framework. Eckhart Tolle has a framework. Everybody has a framework. And so what happens is that because we are coming from a systemized framework, we resist the order inside of us. We resist the structure that we need in order to prosper inside of us. Isn't that interesting? It's wild. And let me know if you never heard about this before in this way. Let me know. I'm curious. I'm very curious about it. Because when I started to apply the inner knowingness of the framework that my ancestors has left for me, I'm like, oh, this is actually very simple. Living in prosperity is actually very simple. So let me know in the comments so far how this is landing for you. So when you stay within the alignment of oneself, you stay in integrity. So this is energetic integrity, y'all. Not just mindset, integrity. And this is why I say you got to be strong. Because the noise outside of yourself is loud. The disruptions. Most people don't live in integrity with themselves. Most people lie to themselves every single day. I call it happy hour conversations. I never got into them. And when I say happy hour conversations, I mean that, if you are somebody who has a job and, you work that regular 9 to 5 and it's Thursday, Thursdays, I'm sure y'all heard of that before. And you go out and, you're at a bar or something and you're drinking and all that. And people get drunk. Next thing you know, they're all sedated. And now everybody's talking about what they wish they could do with their life. Oh, yeah, I wish I could do this. And then here comes fantasy. Yeah, let's go ahead and just leave and go live somewhere, on an island. It's always the island. Live somewhere on the island. Let's just quit and let's just travel the world. And everybody's like, yeah, let's just do it. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, the feeling. And ain't nobody, half those people, and even more than half the people are not going to do nothing. Okay. Nothing. And I never got into those conversations. I'll be the one that will say something very direct and smart and will leave. Or I would just leave because I can't entertain those thoughts of fantasy. I'm not interested in living in a woulda, coulda, shouldas of life. It's like, no, I'm here to live it now. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what I say because that's living in the order of my sovereignty. Okay. So on the left side, you have the sovereignty gap. And this is mediocrity, scarcity. This is disconnection, suppression, scarcity loop. And this is formulated by what I call the 7 energetic body frameworks. So it's not regular chakra system. This is based upon my own study. And so you have at the bottom, you have the physical body. When the physical body is functioning from mediocrity, from suppression, it feels contracted. You feel held down. Then you have the protective body, which overfunctions. Then you have your emotional body, which it's hard for you to access your authenticity. You want to be yourself. You want to, you have that desire, but you're functioning from a place that keeps you small. Then you have the ancestral body, disconnected from lineage, power, and resources. Because guess what? Ancestors want us to live in the abundance. And when you really think about the history, you're like, man, like I said, Harriet Tubman, she's just one of my favorites. Like you think about what they had to go through and what they overcame, and we can't even post something. You know, you can't get on your Instagram to post. Harriet Tubman was freeing slaves. What are you talking about? Okay, so you have the ancestors, and there's also another side of the ancestors, which I call it the slave mentality, where you have a lot of that slave psychological patterns running. And there's and when I talk about ancestors, I don't care what color you are, I don't care what demographic you come from, we all got some ancestors. Okay, just remember that. This has nothing to do with skin tone and race. We all got some ancestral patterns that live inside our DNA. Then you have the mental body, confusion, self-doubt, negotiation with self, spiritual body, fragmented from embodied truth. And this is what you see. People go through these spiritual experiences, and what happens is they tend to connect to that higher knowing, but then maybe 3 months out, guess what? They forget. Back to the old drawing board. All right. And then you have the sovereign body. And the sovereign body, when you're functioning from mediocrity, is absent. You're disconnected. All right. So just sit with that for a minute. And then you are marketing yourself as an entrepreneur. So then you hear the loops. And this is what I hear all the time when people are selling. If it resonates, that's a big one. If it resonates, it should already resonate. Like if you are aligned, the people who are aligned it's already resonating. Okay. So that shows doubt. Then take your time. Listen. You can't buy back time. You can't get that time back. I would say that you can't get back that time. So now you're saying take your time. And 9 times out of 10, they're not coming back because you're not functioning from a place of abundance. So you just let them go. Take your time, right? Softening. No pressure. Hmm. Hmm. Isn't a diamond forged from some type of pressure? A diamond. Am I right? Like, I don't know all the mechanics and stuff, but isn't a diamond formed from some type of pressure? So you lean back, and because of the trauma, because you are still functioning from it too. And again, this is something I had to take a look at it myself, y'all. Okay. Then you have inside, you don't say it to them, but inside, I hope they choose me. Uh, what? Why wouldn't they choose you? You're magnificent. Why wouldn't they choose you? So your Merkaba slows down. If you know what Merkaba is, which is also part of Kemetic cosmology and understanding energy and understanding we have a Merkaba, we have an energetic field that lives around us. It's stalled, it's fragmented, it's faded, it's downward and inward. And I would even say awkward. Okay. And then you have the right side, which is the alignment with Mat. So this is the sovereign. And you have the physical body grounded, protect the body, clear boundaries, emotional body resourced and responsive, authentic. You stop caring what people think about you. Like that, it's phenomenal. It's such a freeing thing. Then you have the ancestral body. You talking about power. Like now your ancestors is like about time. Now we could get this work. Now we could get this work in. And you stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop apologizing for being too much because you got that ancestral frequency now flowing through you. It's like, I'm going to be too much then. Okay. I'll go ahead and do that. Like you stop caring. Then you have the mental body, clarity, decisiveness, alignment. Just like I said before, literally an hour before I got on this call, y'all, I bought something from a man I did not know. Like I said, I already knew what I desired. I said, I need that. I need that type of class because personal development is everything. It's a key to unlock all of your abundance when you just dive into personal development. So I'm always learning. I am always learning a new skill. I'm always reading. And so that was a skill. And I'm like, let me go ahead and click on it. But like, that's it. Thank you. So you're so clear. And you see how your field, or people call the universe, aligns to your clarity. Like I was literally just thinking about that. And we say this all the time. Yeah, I was literally just thinking about that. But you don't take the action. You got to take the action and apply it to your life. Then you have the spiritual body integrated with embodied action, like I just said. And then you have the sovereign body, fully present, grounded, and commanding presence. You magnetize naturally. You walk in a room and people can see from that seer perception, like she got something or he got something. They may not know the words, but they can feel the resonance. And so now when it comes to pricing, these are the terms. You say from conviction, here is my investment. This is my structure. I know my worth. Full commitment only. And it's because you have committed to yourself. So there's no softening. Because you want people in your containers that are committed. They're ready to go in. Whatever it is that you're doing, they're ready. And this is how you position yourself as a premium entrepreneur, because you start to realize all of the wisdom, all of the experience you have, all the initiations you've been through, all the training. And I say initiations, I'm not even talking about, I mean, yes, you know, the initiations into certain paths, but I'm talking about your life is the initiation. So you have real life experiences, real wisdom to bring to people. And you start to collect all that. And you're like, man, like, oh, there will be a very extensive paywall. There will be a paywall for sure. And it's not gatekeeping, it's protecting yourself. So you can't have this, if you have grown and developed over years, you're still pricing something at a floor that you have outgrown, you're leaving money on the table. That's all I'm saying. All right. So the sovereign price practice, and this is something you could take with you today. Regulate. Regulation is key. One grounding breath before you say a number. You cannot price from a dysregulated state. So take that position first. Speak with who? That's number 2. State your price with conviction. No softening. No, if this resonates. No pressure. Take all that out of your vocabulary. And then one of the biggest keys is to hold the silence. Say it, then stop. Don't over explain. Let it be. And now you are positioning yourself in the mayat. And you don't have to call it mayat. It could just be order. You have to position yourself in your inner architecture of order. All right. So I just want to give a little, little testimonies. So Marie, who is on the call, This is just some things that she has said over time since she's been working with me. The decisions I made after our work weren't strategic, they were structural. And she's implementing the keys live. Marie just has that way about her where she just implements the keys live and she's seeing the results. And that's the whole point. Okay. And then I don't know if Golden is on the call, but she posted her first offering. She booked her client the same day. Then she created her first retreat and her first online course. And she's confident in her worth. And that's the key. Okay. So the real cost was never the price. The real cost is your time. How much time you waste when you live from a state of chaos. The reason why wealthy people decide rapidly because we are not interested in wasting time. The wealthy mindset is all about let's get it done. Let me apply it and let's continue. Because the life that we're building is freedom. And you all have mentioned that. You all have mentioned the second time when you named your price, the freedom that you felt. And saying, wow, this is normal. Yeah, it is. And you can feel like that all the time. But it's up to you to create that responsibility to hold yourself in that position at all times. All right. Waiting is the scarcity pattern, still deciding for you. So when you wait, you are holding yourself in like a prison. And I showed those slides for a reason. So you can see on an energetic level what you do when you wait for something that is perfectly aligned to your becoming. It's perfect. You're like, wow, like I said earlier, that was precision. I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up. Precision, surgical. That is the mayat. That is the order. And we are living in a world of divine order. And we must remember that that is how it's mirrored back to us if we pay attention and take it. Like, take it. What are you waiting for? And this is how you pop yourself out of the illusion of scarcity. You take the opportunity so you can apply the steps. All right. So next week, starting July 20th to 24th, I have a 10K build challenge. It's 5 live days. And we're going to go deeper into the psychological patterns because it's not just about building a 10K build challenge with me. You can do that with AI. Okay. You can literally get on AI and say, build me a 10K offer. It's pretty simple. However, is that 10K build offer aligned to your clients? Is that 10K offer already available for people to purchase? And most importantly, are you ready to execute that 10K build offer, that 10K offer? because everything that we just talked about has to be in alignment. And I remember when I first offered my first 10K offer, and it was after moving through a couple cycles with the school. And I said, something's got to give. And 10,000, like I think somebody mentioned earlier, how just the price just popped up. 10,000. That's what you need to be charging. And when I did, psychologically, it shifted the way that I had structured every other form of how people work with me, because I'm flowing in the reciprocity of the exchange of wisdom, of knowledge that people are receiving from me. And they're also bringing value to my wisdom by the exchange of the investment. Who has billed? I'm just curious if anybody who has ever charged $10,000 for an offer, let me know. So I'm just assuming. Okay. This is your opportunity. And again, you're doing it on solid foundation. You're doing it in a way where those psychological patterns are going to come up in real time. They're going to come up and we're going to move through it. So you design, price, and position a high ticket offer in real time and meet the pattern at the exact moment you name your price. You walk out with a complete sellable $10,000 offer, but most importantly, you're transformed into holding that capacity to executing. That's the key. So if you joined me on the live today, the founding rate is 279 for 48 hours. After that, the price goes back up to 379. And the door closes July 19th. So what I'm going to do now is give you the code. So I'm going to put it in the code in the chat. So that is that's the passcode. That's the coupon code that you use. All right. I'm going to stop the share. And then I'm going to share the link to the offer. That way you could go right to it. And purchase your ticket. And as I am doing this, just sit with the information that you learned today. If in this little hour, little over an hour, how did this change how you look at your inner architecture and how you price? Because it should have changed something. So let me know in the chat. I see I was selling myself short based on BS stories. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the link. All right. And again, 48 hours. And I'll also be sending a follow up email as well. Eye opening. Beautiful. I understand what people are responding, not just to my words, but my energy. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.